I mean, I cannot tell you the number of times that someone has sat across the desk from me and said, how do I not know this about my own body? I'm 36, 37, 38 years old. I'm, a doctor, a lawyer. I mean, truly, even some doctors, if this is not their area of specialty, they may not know what's going on in their own body. It kind of crushes me because we all have the same body, and we should know this from, pre-puberty, that what's going on, not just to hide and avoid and pretend that it's not the miracle that it is.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment, a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine, bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics, giving you easy and practical solutions. Guided by me, Dr. Larisa Sharipova, and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode of Harmonic Alignment, Dr. Larisa Sharipova connects with Dr. Susan Fox on one of today's most important topics, infertility. Infertility is rising globally, and there could never be a better time to start having this conversation. If you want healthy, thriving children, that health starts with the mother and the father. And Dr. Susan Fox has made this a lifelong journey to support both on that journey. She's combining traditional Chinese medicine and conventional medicine to support true integrative healing. She now has a whole system approach, and she's even created an online program to help you so that you can do this at home and stop running back and forth to the doctor. There's a lot of key things that you can learn to take care of your body, and women just don't have a lot of information and are surprised to learn things that they should have known all along about their body. This is a fascinating conversation. It's so needed. You can check out Dr. Susan's programming at University.co. You can also follow her on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy this beautiful conversation with Dr. Susan Fox.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment Podcast. Today, I have a pleasure to have a conversation with Dr. Susan Fox, who is an expert in the field of reproductive health and fertility. Welcome to Harmonic Alignment, Dr. Fox.
Thank you, Dr. Larisa. I'm really, really happy to be here and talk with you today.
Before we dive into your story and your approach to infertility, I want to talk about state of reproductive health right now and the conventional treatment of infertility.
It's certainly a conversation that many people are having because it is becoming something of an epidemic. 1 in 6 people are determined to be struggling with infertility during their reproductive years. We're finding things like microplastics in the follicular fluid of women. Male infertility is climbing as well. And certainly I'm so grateful to have conventional medicine at the ready for IUI and IVF and so forth. But in my opinion, the missing piece is the health of the female, or the person with the ovaries, and the male, the person with sperm, because the IVF docs can only get those eggs and sperm in the healthy condition or unhealthy condition that they presently are. So my belief is, let's get people healthy and detoxed and optimized so that if they choose to go through an IVF process, and sometimes I'm the one recommending that, because if they want multiple children in their family and they're 36 years old, then I say, well, then let's get your body cleaned up, then do your IVF so that you have your embryos banked for future children.
Great. And more pollutions and toxicities around us. So it's very important to detoxify your body before you get pregnant.
Exactly.
And that actually was my story. I had infertility 15 years ago, and as soon as I detoxify, I got pregnant next month. So that's how it was. But nobody knew why I couldn't get pregnant. So.
Right. It's that chronic, insidious, inflammatory process that's consequent to toxic overload. And so when we clean that up, the body wants to function optimally. I mean, it's begging us by giving us signs of the sicknesses that we're feeling and seeing each day.
Yes, Susan, can you share a bit about your journey? What led you to specialize in reproductive health and infertility?
Yes, certainly. Well, mine is a little bit different than most. Many people have that sort of Chiron wounded healer story where that was their own experience, and that was not my experience. In fact, mine was very serendipitous and almost divinely inspired, if you will, in that I was a licensed provider, and I went into a store called the Tibetan Culture House and thought I was just going to get a little something, but was magnetically pulled to the back of this building where there was a giant tanka of green Tara. And I did not even know green Tara at the time, but she's the goddess of compassionate healing in Buddhism. And I just started to cry. And it wasn't emotional, but I was just something was happening. And so I asked the monk who owned the store what was happening here. And he explained that she was the goddess of compassionate healing. And I said, well, I guess she's who I take, with me today. And I put her in the car. And once again, this was not happening of my own thoughts, but I thought that I needed to go look for my space right away. And so I just let divinity take me and found myself on this particular street where a lot of medical professionals have their practices, and drove past a building and then stopped my car, turned around and drove back to that building. And again, I was laughing at myself thinking, what is happening here? Walked to the back of the building, and lo and behold, there was an empty office that was needing to be leased, across the hall from which was a reproductive endocrinologist. So that's the point of the story. I truly was set up to work across the hall from an IVF clinic. So the business flowed to me, or the people flowed to me. And then I knew I needed to do a deep dive and really, learn more about it. And so the last 23 years, I've been continuously learning more about it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing, amazing. I love energy, how
Mhm.
serendipity and synchronicity happen, and it's meant to be, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
miracles happen when we let them.
And you've been practicing for over 23 years now.
Yes.
How has your perspective on fertility evolved over time, especially as you integrate Eastern and Western approaches?
Yes, yes. I would say I've become more and more and more certain that the traditional medicines like Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, all of the old medicines that really talk about whole systems, a whole body approach to healing is imperative. I've seen the IVF community, sort of the reproductive world of advanced therapies, IVF, IUI, egg freezing, refine and perfect as well. But again, what I'm seeing is this sort of chasm. It's almost as though the better they get, the less people pay attention to what the onus, the responsibility, the agency that the individual has and needs to have in order to really have her ultimate dream of family be realized. We're very easily conditioned or magnetized to go with something bright and shiny and new and expert. And we forget that at the end of the day, it really is our responsibility for how our life turns out in many ways.
And I like how Dr. Weil said, more tech and less touch. So we have all these gadgets and technology around, and we try to implement it in the practice, but we touching patients less and less, right?
Yes.
Or don't educate patients or clients about their own body, about their all functions and physiology. So that's
Right.
happening in conventional medicine more.
Indeed. I mean, I cannot tell you the number of times that someone has sat across the desk from me and said, how do I not know this about my own body? I'm 36, 37, 38 years old. I'm, a doctor, a lawyer. I mean, truly, even some doctors, if this is not their area of specialty, they may not know what's going on in their own body. It kind of crushes me because we all have the same body, and we should know this from, pre-puberty, that what's going on, not just to hide and avoid and pretend that it's not the miracle that it is.
And probably we learn at some point in school, right, when they have classes about their bodies, but we forget because we lose the touch with ourselves, with the outside, the stuff, the distractions, and we just lost touch with our own feelings and
Mhm.
physical sensations. And I said, body sends you messages all the time. You just need to pay attention and learn. And that's how I work with my clients. Listen to your body, because pain, chronic pain, anxiety, depression, that's all signs that something is going on, but we just put a band-aid, right?
Right, because it will start as a whisper and it will continue to a scream. The more we avoid listening to our bodies, the bigger the problem will become.
Yeah, it won't go away, just create a snowball.
And I would say it's not just the going inside and the listening to our bodies, but we are creatures who are in relationship with each other. So conversing, listening, being listened to, having someone really just give us that time to speak what we're thinking or feeling can sometimes give us that spark of that moment of, oh, that's what's going on. I get it now. And yes, I can make these changes, not just take those supplements, but really make the fundamental changes in how I'm living each day that will make that supplement work better for that matter.
Yes, great tips. What inspired the creation of You Fertile Health as your program and Health Youniversity?
So the Your Fertile Health program came out of a desire to help more people, right? In my private practice, I'm limited to who can get through my front door. And yet, as I said, 1 in 6, the need far exceeds my ability. And also the frequency with which someone can come in, even if they can come in the front door, if we could do these practices ourselves in the comfort of our own home 3 to 5 days a week, versus maybe at best once a week, and then hope that that did the job, we're going to get a better result. We're going to really make the changes just by changing our patterns and our habits. So I designed this 120-day program. It's actually 4 weeks times 3 months because it follows the menstrual cycle, so that women, I'll use the term women, can really do something every day, can pay attention every day to their mind body. So there are guided imagery meditations that really talk about this is what's happening in your cycle today. There are qigong exercises that all of which follow the 5 phases of the 4-week menstrual cycle. There are what I consider to be the special sauce protocols that really help drive blood flow, because we need our blood flow to ovaries and uterus each day when we're not menstruating, so that we can really improve the quality of our organs, so that therefore the function, the physiology can improve. Dietary and lifestyle recommendations as well, and some coaching as needed. But really the point is to talk myself out of a job, because I don't want to be needed. I want for people to have their own experience of, thanks for the tools, now I got this.
Is it a group program? It's online, right?
It's online. It is not a group program. It is a kind of an evergreen style. Like you come in where you want to come in. If you're in your first week of your menstrual cycle or your 3rd week of your menstrual cycle, you just start where you start and follow the program along. I did that intentionally because we don't have time. The one commodity we are all lacking is time. And so have to show up for yet another group or miss, because I think that then just creates more stress and anxiety to miss an appointed time. I really want these people to be able to just go at their own pace, do what works for them, take what works for them. It's a very comprehensive program. If you do it all, you're going to get, better results. If you don't do it all, you're going to get as good results as you implement.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So for more convenience of doing one person on their own time. So yeah.
Exactly. We have busy work days. Many already have families. It's a secondary fertility challenge. They've got a child at home, but they're struggling to get their second child. So they don't need to be away from home or work or their own personal time to schedule yet another series of appointments.
Great. Your program, Your Fertile Health, introduced a 5 elements model rooted in Chinese medicine.
Yes.
Can you walk us through what those 5 elements are and how they relate to reproductive health?
Yes, I can. So in Chinese medicine, it is from the observation of the Tao, the observation of nature, and we are nature. So the qualities of these 5 elements reside within each of us. And we do tend to have a little bit of a dominant constitutional, if you will, but all of the components are part of our nature. And they are wood, which is our liver energies. It's our desire to create or recreate. It's the kind of energy that says, oh, I want to learn to play the piano, or I want to take this dance class, or I want to write a book, or I want to have a baby. It's that desire to create something. And when that energy gets quashed, then we get really frustrated and angry, or if it turns in on ourselves, we get depressed. And so when things are not in harmony with the wood element, we really find kind of like a constriction type of energy. And a lot of times that can really even show up with autoimmunity. We literally turn on ourselves. So we want to help the physical liver clean itself up, detoxify, because usually there's some congestion going along with it. And then we want the emotional liver, if you will, to kind of flow and play as well. Another element is the fire element. And that element is brightness, it's warmth, it's joy, it's exuberance, but it can sometimes get to be too much. We've kind of all met that person where when we say, hi, how are you? They say, fine, fine. They want to be the party girl all the time and really deflecting and not really taking that quiet, soft time to really feel peaceful joy. And so that person's energy can really get too hot. Her fluids can dry up. She might have scanty menstruation. She may have no menstruation. She may go amenorrheic for a period of time. So we want to help sort of soothe, cool, and calm and moisten that person, because she's kind of gotten herself a little dry from having been overly working too hard. Another element is the earth element, and that really has to do with our ability to assimilate and eliminate efficiently. That's our digestive system. We refer to it as the spleen system in Chinese medicine. When it is functioning properly, we feel great. We're fueled, we're resourced, we're really able to take on life. When we're not feeling imbalanced with that, we can kind of get a little bit phlegm accumulation. So you'll see it with somebody who's maybe a little puffy or overweight. They're in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, we'll look at the tongue. If we see teeth marks along the side of the tongue, that is a physical sign. In the emotional side, that person would be tending toward worry. It's like she can't even contain her thoughts. So her thoughts want to go all over the place, or one thought, she can't get off, that thought. And she's probably the person who's up Googling all hours of the night, what's going on with me, as opposed to taking a breath and, kind of going inside and saying, hey, what's going on in there? Another element is the lung element. And so, of course, our lungs inspire and exhale. And if we're not getting good lung qi, then we can really feel collapsed. We can really feel grief stricken. And we see this a lot. The first day of a menstrual bleed, when someone had hoped to conceive that month, she can really collapse. And what happens over time is that she weakens her immune system. She's more prone to colds, flus, things like that. So we really want to help fortify her as well. That person tends to, in the nutrition side, she will do well with a little bit more of the aromatics. So you want to inhale peppermint or inhale lemons or things like that to really kind of wake up our senses. The fifth element is the water element, and that's probably the constitutional element, if you will, of fertility, because it governs growth, reproduction, and aging. It is our hormones. And so when that element is out of balance, we will see all kinds of hormonal, imbalance. We'll see insomnia. We'll see night sweats, perhaps. We'll see irregular menstruation, erratic ovulation. And emotionally for that person, we will see dread, fear. When is the other shoe going to drop? It is what taxes the adrenals. So again, we want to just really help balance that person and really bringing the surface of the water and the depths of the water to connect with each other.
In alignment.
In alignment, in communication, in relationship.
Amazing. Are those types of symptoms, is it happening or change throughout the menstrual cycle?
It kind of shows up throughout. So for instance, the person who is the wood element out of balance, she may have premenstrual pain, dysmenorrhea, because again, things are just a little too tight. She's not free flowing. She may be one who might be more prone to like having that glass of alcohol to kind of take the edge off. So it's going to show up throughout her cycle differently. And again, as I hope your listeners have felt themselves like, well, I'm a part of all of those, but I do see the dominant one. It can change over time, but there tends to be, again, especially during this sort of period of fertility struggle, one that shows up. And it's like our guideposts to say, okay, start here, because we just need to start somewhere, and the rest will reveal itself.
Mhm. And you implement all kind of modalities to balance the types that disbalance, like nutrition, lifestyle, herbs, and acupuncture, right?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, Chinese medicine is a whole systems approach. It's not just a matter of take this herbal formula, but go eat junk food, because that obviously won't work. Or take this acupuncture protocol, but stay up too late watching Netflix. That won't work, right? So it's a whole body approach. We need to have proper nutrition and hydration. We need to have proper circulation, not too little, not too much, and different types of circulation targeted at different times in a woman's menstrual cycle. We need to have proper sleep-wake cycles. And then we need to have proper emotional balance as well. I consider those the four pillars of whole health, and they're all included in the Your Fertile Health program, and they're all included in how I work with people individually.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like holistic approach to
Yeah.
and healing. I associate myself with wood element, and
Uh-huh.
I love trees. I always go and hug trees when I go for walks.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Yes, hugging trees, watching them, their leaves sway in the breeze. Let yourself sway, move your own body similarly. Or if you need to shake it off, have a dance party in your living room and just really shake it off. We see the animals do that. We can do it too.
But sometimes when I dysregulate it, I feel myself like a wood that cannot bend. So,
Exactly. Exactly. That you have just given a perfect example. A tree is supposed to be able to move. It has solidity, but then, at its branches, it's supposed to be able to move more like the willow, less like the old oak that is impenetrable. But that old oak, if you're looking up at the high branches, it too is having its ability to move and grow.
great associations. Can you describe one success story?
Sure. I can feel a little shy because I don't consider them my success stories. They are the success stories of the people whose lives were changed. One in particular is coming to mind where she came to me having had failed IVF. She was from a same-sex couple, so IVF was her method of growing her family. And she was successful, intelligent, driven person who would do everything that was asked of her. And everything that was asked of her was come in for these appointments, take these stems, and we'll retrieve and transfer. But nobody spoke to her about how she was really running through her life. And so we talked about the importance of take that time. It is your time. And so she took a little bit of a break. I think she took about just 2 months because she was really feeling the urgency of time, and really concentrated on improving how she lived in the world. When she got up, she didn't just grab a cup of coffee and run off to work, because this was before COVID and we were all running off to work, and really took time to nourish herself, be in a softer relationship with her partner. There was almost a dynamic where she was the one who was going to get things done, and it was really revealing for her to see how she could relate differently, how she could receive differently as she softened. She was also a coffee drinker, so, and I'm not opposed to coffee, but it is not water. It's not going to hydrate you. So I had to assign her a task to fill up 3 liters a day, and then set her alarm for noon, 3, 6, and see how did she do. And she could chug back at the noon and the 3 mark, and see what she could do for the 6 p.m. mark. And she just changed. She blossomed. And her next cycle was a completely different experience. Plenty of eggs to retrieve, plenty of embryos, healthy embryos, and a beautiful baby boy.
And she still was on the fertility protocol, so she was taking on, like, preparing for
For IVF, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So she took 2 months before she began her stem cycle again to just prepare. If I had control of the world, then I would say maybe start trying to prepare 6 to 12 months before. So if you think you want a baby next year, now is a really good time to begin the detoxification in the nutrition. She didn't have that kind of time, but it's miraculous, our body, what can happen inside of just 2 months. I mean, the testimonial pages that are on my website are filled with women who said, I was told donor egg, you're too old, forget about it. And then they just began working with me. And I would say, I can't guarantee, but what I can guarantee is you will be healthier. So, you will enjoy a healthier reproductive life, whether or not you can get pregnant. Again, two come to mind, women in their 40s who were told, forget about it, and got pregnant naturally. And one is now about to deliver her second child in her mid 40s. So I think she's 44 now.
And when you give the body what body needs and remove what doesn't need, so body can heal and reproduce.
Exactly.
That sounds so easy, but it's hard work. And sometimes we have to change our habits, our schedule, to pay attention to ourselves, because we're always running, and particularly women, we try to help everyone and do everything and never have time for ourselves, unfortunately.
Exactly. And yet we have that old adage, put your own oxygen mask on before assisting others, because we can better help and support those we love if we are better resourced ourselves. So taking that time for your meditation or guided meditation, for your movement. I mean, this is really just helping this body that we were gifted to enjoy throughout our lives, so that we can do better with it while we're on this planet. Yeah.
How do you support clients in aligning their physical, emotional, and spiritual health to create fertile ground?
I would say start where your need is more, right? So if you know your nutrition is junky, start there. If you know that you just need a little bit more time, if you really are honest with yourself and say, you know what, I never give myself time, do that. And I would even say start with a little bit of meditation, even if it's 2 minutes. And it doesn't have to be sitting, in lotus position. You can listen to some beautiful guided imagery, listen to some beautiful music, or just be quiet, or recite a mantra or something like that. Just start with 2 minutes. See if you can work your way up to 20 minutes. It's like weaving your life back together. The threads of our lives are so scattered. It's really like being your own parent, being your own mother. Really is the best way to think about it. And it's good training. If we can do this for ourselves, we can do it better for when that little being who's going to need all of us comes into form.
So you're saying that if that person needed more help or start with physical, you can start there, but use all of it to address the need, right? And mental and spiritual. And as a Chinese medicine approach, you need to address everything. But you start to where it's needed first, where the priority is.
Right. Because the course addresses all of those, it makes it a little easier to follow it, because if you're following the course, you're addressing all of those. You're taking a minute with your guided imagery, you're taking a minute with your qigong movement, and it doesn't have to be exclusive to the things in that program. But if you aren't doing anything just by doing the program, you're doing kind of everything you need. So including acupuncture, because the protocols are acupoint stimulation. And this is just not pie in the sky. There's research that is showing it's called TEAS, transcutaneous electrical acupoint stimulation, increases live birth rate for a frozen embryo transfer for women over 35 by 42%. That is a remarkable improvement. And we're not just talking about a positive pregnancy test. They tested this in about almost 4,000 women, and live birth rate. So doing all of these things is really important. Doing what you can is the only way to get started.
And so, speaking of acupuncture, do those women need to go to acupuncturists to do it?
They do not. This is why I say I talk myself out of a job. Even the women who come into my office, if they're on a short timeline, I'll say, I encourage you to do these protocols. And because you're doing the protocols, you're getting 3 times the amount in a week than you would if you came to see me once a week. And many do choose to come in once a week anyway, or maybe twice a month, just to touch base and have me kind of get an assessment of how well they're progressing, but you do not need to see me. I'm in California. This program could work for someone in Philadelphia.
Mhm. What are some common myths about fertility and reproductive health that you often have to help your clients unlearn?
We're victims, if you will, of marketing all the time. But so we've come to presume that if we go to IVF, and many corporations are now offering the fertility benefits, then it's a slam dunk. We're going to get that baby. And this is where they become so crushed because they go through all of this effort. And it really is, a lot of work on a body, and they have poor results. They really expected that to be their for sure outcome. And now there's a recommendation that women freeze their eggs sooner. And I actually am a proponent of that as well. But I would say once again, if you're going to freeze your eggs, get healthy first, because many of these women, if you're just coming out of college, you're probably not in your best health. You've been, burning the candle for courses. You've been probably doing a little bit of partying. So just take that time, take that 3 months to get healthy and then freeze your eggs.
Yeah, and a healthy body, healthy eggs, because you don't want to keep freezing for a long, long time.
Exactly. A healthy egg will make a healthy embryo, will make a healthy fetus, will make a healthy baby. An unhealthy egg may not even thaw, probably wouldn't make it through, blastocyst stage as an embryo, or possibly even as or more painful, result in a miscarriage or an unhealthy baby.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And speaking of IVF, it's also not making your body healthier like with your approach, right? Yes, they might promise you to have a baby, and I don't think they even promise 100% that you have a baby.
They can't.
Yeah.
I mean, the percentage, if you really look at the percentages, are about 30%.
And it's not making your body healthier for sure.
Correct.
So going to preparing your body for that procedure is the most important things. And it's going to increase the result much better, and the percentage of success much better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So possibly that's the myth, is that how we behave with our bodies does not affect our eggs. It certainly does. There is no research that says we can improve egg quality. There's certainly no research that conventional medicine can improve egg quality, but it lends itself to reason that if we're improving our whole health, we're improving our fertile health.
Yes, for sure. What are 2 or 3 things someone can start doing today to support their fertility, even if they're not trying to conceive right now, but they're thinking in the future?
Yeah, I would say even if you're certain that you never want to have a baby, you still want to preserve your fertile health, because your fertile health is part of your whole health. When we cease using our ovaries for reproduction, our ovaries are still working with every single cell of our body through the entirety of our life, through menopause. So a few things you can do, I would say, first, wake up and go to sleep at the right times, and if you're working night shift and all of that, just do your best. But our sleep habits are so poor for the most part. We think, oh, I'm good with 5 hours of sleep and I'm fine if I go to bed at midnight, but I'm sleeping until 9 in the morning. Those rhythms are not in alignment with nature. If we did not have electronics and lights and all of that, you probably wouldn't be staying up until midnight and getting up at 9 in the morning. You would be going to bed when it's dark, or at least getting ready for bed. Maybe some candlelight, firelight would keep you doing evening chores, and then you'd be waking with a light. And that really matters, because that is the beginning of our hormonal signaling with our circadian rhythms. Our melatonin is another hormone that is a super antioxidant. So getting your face to the light when you wake up in the morning to naturally raise cortisol levels will then let you use those healthy cortisol levels throughout the day so that they're low by the time you're going to bed. And then they will naturally rise again while you're fasting during your sleep. And this allows your body to do its detoxification and restoration and repair on its own while you're sleeping. So that's an easy one. Not simple, and I understand it's not simple, but you'd be hard pressed to say, can't do it, just can't do it.
I think it's the most important one, because circadian rhythm and our menstrual rhythm, so it's all balanced and synchronized.
Absolutely. We are very intricate beings, like a symphony inside of with our hormones. So we want to be the best conductor of that symphony that we can. Again, nutrition is key. Just stay away from processed foods, eat whole foods, eat pesticide free, because those pesticides are toxins that our body needs to detoxify. And thankfully, here in the United States, we do have better access to organic, foods. It doesn't have to be at the farmer's market. You can go to the big box stores, if you will, and get frozen organic broccoli. Some of these the tendency to say, oh, I can't do that, that's too expensive, really isn't true anymore. And I will also say that even if it is true, if you were to hold up the price point for broccoli that has been riddled with pesticides and that which hasn't, I would say to you, the cost is greater for the pesticide riddled broccoli when it comes to affecting your health, because then you're going to have all of the consequences of poor detoxification yourself. When you get pregnant, those toxins cross the umbilical cord. There's 4 times the amount of toxins in umbilical cord blood than in mother's blood. So you're asking this being to grow and develop in a toxic waste dump, if you will. So please, pesticide-free, hormone-free meat proteins, do the best you can so that you're not having fast food burgers and fries that are just laced with all of the additives and chemicals. And then I would say hydration. I consider that part of nutrition, but I think we are chronically dehydrated and every cell in our body needs the water. And movement. And sometimes people say, I don't even know what I want to do. I'll say, what did you love to do when you were 11? Were you someone who liked to run or skip rope or dance or, do yoga or something like that? I don't know many 11-year-olds who, at least at my age, when I was 11, we weren't doing yoga, but it sure is fun to do. So those are the kind of things, all of those that I just recited. You don't need a membership. You don't need to spend anything more except perhaps a little bit of your time differently. We all get the same 24 hours a day. So if you choose to spend that watching Netflix or listening to some guided imagery or doing, some stretching before bed, it's your choice. But I recommend you choose yourself.
Mm-hmm. And that's priority, what you put on a priority list, at least yourself or somebody else that you're trying to help or support, or your own body. And if you love your body enough, if you want to have a baby, of course you're going to do all these important things. And I call them low-hanging fruit. You don't need to go to anyone. You just can start tomorrow or today to change, to go buy better food and get a fresh air and go outside and move and get some sunlight and go to sleep on them. Yes.
Yep. And it's ironic because it's what we will do for our babies. So consider it that you're doing this for your baby by starting with yourself, because what you're doing for yourself will be the health of your baby.
Yeah. So if you cannot do for yourself something or change your lifestyle, do for your future child.
Yeah, absolutely. And the future in general. I mean, that's where I put my activist hat on and say, we need to be the change for a healthy future, because it's the decisions that get made governmentally or politically or whatever you call it requires that someone be healthy to make good decisions. Unhealthy people make unhealthy decisions. You're literally changing the future by changing your health.
I'm a health advocate as well, specifically for women. We trust our doctors because we don't know about ourselves enough to make a decision. And that's what's important. And important is your program to educate yourself about yourself.
Yep. I'll often say to patients, remember, we work for you. We've got it a little flipped with our understanding of who's in charge. We give a lot of our agency over to the person with the higher degree or the bigger bank account or the white coat or whatever. But the fact of the matter is we work for you. So you step up and work with us.
Great tips. You mentioned about placenta, and I think it's another myth, but we as a medical community believe that nothing goes through the placenta. It's kind of filter, right? And nothing goes to the baby. But now we know so much research done that even microplastic end up in the baby and goes through the placenta. And unfortunately, we have more and more toxicity around the world, and now all those toxins can go through placenta. We know that now.
Right.
So
That's
we
right.
have to be considerate and being very conscious about that.
Right. Without being a fatalist, there are some forever chemicals that we can't rid ourselves of, but rid ourselves of what we can. So, do our best job at keeping ourselves healthy and reducing the toxic load as best we can. And that actually gives me one more thought to share. It's not just what we put in our bodies, it's what we put on our bodies. So take a look, an honest look at what's your oral care look like? What does your skin care look like? Your hair care, your house cleaning products? What are the actual fabrics that you're using? Are you sleeping on synthetic fabrics? Are you literally breathing in oil while you sleep for 8 hours as if you're lying on polyester sheets? Not to overwhelm, but just make these changes one at a time. You can do all of your house cleaning with baking soda, vinegar, and water. If you want a little scent, a little bit of essential oil, not scent, because scent is a toxin. It's usually made from a petrochemical. What is your hair care? Take a look at the ingredients. And if you can't pronounce most of them, it's probably not best for you. I have resources that like you switch from this to this, in makeup products, we're putting close to our mouths or on our mouths or right at our eyes where it's very easy to penetrate and get into the bloodstream, things that are either really toxically loaded or things that are, I wouldn't say any makeup is actually good for us, but you can have makeup that is less destructive.
Yeah, and now there are more and more options because of the market. People are asking for it, and now we have it. We have much more than we had like 15, 20 years ago. Same with organic food in the stores. And I think the worst one is related to toxin that most of the women use every day. It's perfume. So, and fragrance everywhere, like all those.
Fragrance, yeah. Candles, sprays, all of those things, they're poison. Do not do that to yourself. I've had women say, but I don't like the smell of myself if I don't have my perfume on. I'll say, that's probably because you need to detoxify, when we are not, trying to off gas from our own body, from our own sweat, the toxins, we're not going to smell. So, yeah.
And of course, it comes from the advertisements and all like, yeah, you need to always smell certain way. And that's why we are doing it. And, brainwashed.
Exactly. Yep.
Trained.
Yep. So really also listeners, have compassion for yourself. Realize we all have been brainwashed for at least 50 to 75 years. That's when I think the marketing really became crazy for all of the things that we now see on our shelves. Push back. Like, no, you're not getting my hard-earned dollars for this poison. I'm going to spend my hard-earned dollars on an organic apple instead.
Yeah, be educated consumer, and market will change. It will give us more options. So I'm glad that is happening.
Exactly.
More people are asking for it.
On your Fertile Health program, on the Health Youniversity website, there's a resources page, a shop page. I did that to make it easy. It's like, okay, here you just need to go to this one location and your home care products will be cleaner, or your personal care products, or your oral care. Oral care is so important because it's so close to our bloodstream.
Yeah, and you're talking about all the resources. So tell us where people can find your resources.
So the website is healthyouniversity.co, and university is spelled Y-O-U because it's the education of you, healthyouniversity.co. And you could also find it through yourfertilityquiz.com. That will get you into the site.
Tell us a little bit more about the quiz.
That's another way people can get started right away. The quiz is designed to help you identify which of those 5 elements is your predominant element, and you'll get an automatic free report that says this is your dominant element, and these are some of the things you can do to implement some changes. Different kinds of movement, different kinds of foods or spices. Some of the things are ubiquitous. We all need to drink more water. We all need to eat healthy food, but the types of foods, the wood person may need more sour foods in her diet if her wood element is feeling imbalanced. Those kind of offerings are in the report of the yourfertilityquiz.com.
Great resources. Thank you, Dr. Fox. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Larisa. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you for being here. See you later.
My pleasure.
Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larisa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larisa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz, and the producers are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.